In order to get a firm idea of what I wanted to do for my media products, I did research into well-established products for the genre, which I decided to do, which was British realist film, rooting from the drama genre. I did research into two of the trailers, which were Fish Tank and The Selfish Giant, along with the posters I looked at, which were again from Fish Tank, and the magazine cover Sight and Sound. I am now going to break down single shots of my trailer and the professional trailers I have researched and show how I've developed or challenged professional British realist trailers. The beginning of my trailer starts with a low-angle shot of the main character in a dark room as she slightly turns her head to the left, almost looking back towards the camera, introducing perhaps her situation and what it could be. This creates a mysterious and curious thought. This shot is followed up by a blank screen with a sentence, and followed by another sentence with the audio of the main character being abused by an unknown male.
Okay, Nevaeh, just shut your mouth.
Please,
Nevaeh,
stop!
be quiet!
Stop!
Nevaeh,
Stop!
be quiet!
This creates an intense, also sympathetic effect, along with the hint of violence, which is one of the codes and conventions of the genre that I have chosen. I first challenged the conventions at the beginning of my trailer with the blank screen and audio. Here it is clearly seen that both professional film trailers begin with sight-moving images straight away, just under 9 seconds. The locations, environment and situation of the main characters are hinted. This is a traditional act in the British realist films, that there is no happy ending despite the fact that the situation does not become better in the sense living happily ever after. Example, Hollywood films. When my trailer officially starts, it shows a location shot of a council estate and a scenery of boys in hoodies, a typical British realist convention. This gives an introduction of what the class and status is, despite the dim lighting and depressing-looking atmosphere, followed by a shot of the main character looking out of the window in a dark room with a cigarette in her hand. This creates more of a claustrophobic atmosphere. With Fish Tank, the lighting is more brighter. However, the scenery of the introduction is still claustrophobic, as seen with the kids running around, living in a narrow space, i.e. a flat, and her mother pushing the character's younger sibling out of the door, half naked. Both scenes show the main conventions of the trailer already, i.e. drugs and sexual content. Here I challenged the conventions by adding my introduction not at the beginning, but as a second scene. My trailer is then followed by continuous taking of drugs with the close-ups and point-of-view angles from the main character, Nevaeh. I did this so that the audience can have a sense as to what kind of life the main character lives after what has happened to her. The aggressive behaviour inspired by my two professional trailers, Fish Tank and The Selfish Giant, is seen where she jumps out of her bed, stomps through the hallway and slams the bathroom door behind her, followed by texts. This idea of the bathroom door being the background of the writing was inspired from Fish Tank, as my goal was to keep the film flowing. I have noticed in my research that the main characters of a British realist trailer have a lot of conflict with the majority of the other characters. However, one of the other characters tend to be the complete opposite. This character is usually the one that takes the stress away and shows the main character the good side of things. The scene where Nevaeh is in the canal, there is a low-angle shot under the trees. I decided to add this shot in because it's supposed to be a different scene altogether and a more positive atmosphere, as this is where her talent of writing comes along and is introduced, which helps to escape the reality of what she is currently facing. In Fish Tank, the same shot below the trees was put in. However, there was more love and positivity, despite the fact that the music had changed to a more relaxing and hopeful setting. Whereas in my trailer, I challenged the codes and conventions by keeping my music sympathetic, as I wanted to keep the audience emotionally attached to Nevaeh's situation.
My life will not be the same! Do you not?
Coming to the middle of the professional film trailer Fish Tank, where the names of the actors and actresses come up on the screen with the shot of the actors and actresses in the same shot, I decided not to add this feature, as I wanted to keep the theme as realistic as possible and not to distract the audience that this is a movie, and to keep them on track, which is known that the situation that has happened to my character actually happens in real life. So I decided to keep the rest of the trailer from here inspired by The Selfish Giant, where this trailer does not have this feature of showing the real names of the characters. The other half of my trailer starts to build tension with repeated sounds of screaming from the scene where Nevaeh was sexually abused.
Someone! Anyone help me, please!
The Selfish Giant trailer continues fast-paced clips of dramatic scenes of the film, with the main character also screaming as if he's trying to escape a terror, with the theme music still playing in the background, whereas challenging conventions and developing an idea of my own continues with the heartbeat and heavily breathing alone without theme music continuing.
Help me! Someone! Anyone help me, please! Someone! Help me! Please, help me! Help me!
The scenes coming towards the end of my trailer are in the hospital where Nevaeh has run off after the sexual abuse scene has happened, even though the abuse scene was at the start of my trailer. The Selfish Giant also had the same method of presenting, with the trauma starting at the beginning and the locations of the disaster where it happened coming towards the end. I used handheld camera shots for my ending scenes to create a realistic look and more of an intensive build-up towards the end. Both professional trailers have an animated title or edited title. As mentioned before, I wanted to keep my trailer as simple and as realistic as possible, despite unanimated design as possible as well. The only editing I did with my film title was to change or fade the title from Looking for Heaven to Looking for Nevaeh, i.e. Nevaeh spelled backwards is heaven. This was to give the final say of what the character was looking for and what the aim of the story is. Here is a picture of my magazine cover called Card and Dice. My magazine was inspired by the Sight and Sound British film magazine cover, and I love the fact that this was a portrait image expressing the character as a convention from the film. I also wanted to use this layout of the portrait to stand out. Here is the magazine name, Card and Dice, I have chosen because it sounded more professional than my previous option, Realist. I wrote it out, broadened, and put a black bold font. I got inspiration from Sight and Sound, the same, to keep the yellow border behind and placing it in the left-hand side of the corner at the top of the page for the audience to see clearly, contrasting with the black bold writing, which was the title. The dark background behind her, despite the light beaming in her face, questions where she could be. Despite the fact that she is looking towards the light, creates curiosity and wanting to know what the model is looking at, and makes us question where she is and who she is. The main tagline was my film title, which is Looking for Nevaeh. I put this in bold so it is the same as the professional magazine Sight and Sound. I also did an every new film reviewed, which I copied from the magazine. However, I changed the color and the shape of it to make it look more original rather than just copying. I kept the writing pink instead of blue, as pink is more feminine and connotes the female on the cover. My cover lines were placed and arranged in the same way as the Sight and Sound magazine was. I used the same size similar font as I liked the way it fitted into the layout, also because the Sight and Sound magazine layout is professional and this is why I copied it. Here is my film poster. It is called Looking for Nevaeh, and here is the fish tank poster. I got my inspiration of my model staring away from the camera and looking towards the light from this poster inside her room, which is where the beginning and second scene was filmed. I made sure that the positioning of the model sitting on the window was edited to make it brighter, to stand out from the dark background that I also edited, as there were other unnecessary objects on the wall that I could not remove. I edited the window, making the light shining through much brighter, also giving the representation of heaven that the character in the story is searching for, which is in the title, where the name Nevaeh is heaven spelled backwards. Furthermore, the notebook which the character is holding had to be in the shot as it creates a narrative. The majority of the poster is dark, as I want to give a sort of trap look and only one way out, like a tunnel. This also hints that With the notebook and pen in her hand, it symbolizes that there is a way to freedom, despite the white silhouette bird near the title, representing freedom. I wanted to make my poster as professional as possible, so at the bottom of the professional posters, the institutional information is displayed. I made sure I got the correct font and match with the width between the letters and rows to make it look perfect. I also added the film's ratings underneath, as these are little things that make a professional poster, as I wanted to make sure everything was perfect and to include everything that a professional trailer has. Here is my film title for Looking for Nevaeh. I used this font, which I found on Photoshop. I had to be specific about the fonts that I had to choose, as it had to connote with the genre that I had chosen, which is British realist drama. I changed the conventions by using a slim font compared to the fish tank poster. The color of the title is a gold color, which is the same in my trailer. I changed the color from white to gold to connote the sun, as it is a sign of hope and happiness. I thought that it would stand out from the poster, as the color code of the poster is white, black, and pink. I made sure to put quotes and a motto like fish tank, which I made up but pretended that they were from famous film directors to gain more fans, as this is what the fish tank trailer have done by quoting something which has been said about their film.